Good afternoon, everybody. 12:30. We are hopefully bang on time. Lovely to see everybody. For those who haven't joined us before, welcome to Wagstaff LinkedIn Live. We aim to put these sessions on when we feel we've got a subject matter which is at the forefront of people's minds and needs a discussion, and hopefully needs, we can provide a little bit of information. So I'm delighted. Fiona, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to let Fiona introduce herself in a moment, but I've known Fiona for quite a few years within the work that we've done within the schools. And we've been having some conversations around next generation and how they work within engineering and manufacturing. And I thought she is exactly the person that I need to get on here and give us an insight. These sessions we have them planned officially for half an hour, but we've got a contingency of another 15 minutes. And that is for the discussion to carry on and also for any of your questions. So please use the comments to say hello. Got a nice hello in there already, so thank you very much. And any questions that you may want to pose to us as we start to talk about this subject. So Fiona, before we dive fully on in, could you just introduce yourself, explain a little bit about Make UK and your job within the organisation?
Okay, so I'm Fiona McGarry. I'm the engagement manager at Make UK, and we are the voice of manufacturing within the UK. So we're one of the 5 representative bodies that they have in the UK that meet with government, and we represent the manufacturing organisations. So our members, but also our non-members. So putting to government and talking with government about issues that are impacting manufacturing and engineering companies. So I'm based at our Aston Centre, which is our technology hub, and that's where we train apprentices. So we've currently got, from next week, we'll have an intake of 1,000 apprentices across the 4 years. So next week, we've got 250 joining us for their first week. And they're from a variety of different companies, from Jaguar Land Rover, Rolls-Royce, right down to SMEs. And most of those will be West Midlands young people, but we do a residential model. So 70 of those will come and stay during the week and then go home at weekends, because we do most of the training for the brick companies, and they've got brick factories around the country. So they like to get all their young people to come and be trained at one place and then go back to the factories. But we deliver from level 2 to level 5, but the majority of our delivery, 70%, is level 3 apprenticeships. And that's where there's a real need within manufacturing and engineering sector to get young people and other people through those apprenticeships.
Wow. Okay. So I'm going to pick up on 2 things there. We've said young people, you've said other people, and I think that's possibly also an element we should cover today. Yeah. I'm going to keep an eye on the chat. If you see my eyes darting that way, that's what I'm doing. So I'm not paying attention. So before we kick in, then, what is Generation Z and Generation Alpha? Who are they?
Well, Generation Z term has been around a long time now. I think we're all quite aware about Generation Z entering the workforce. So they are born between 95 and 2009. So they're 14-year-olds through to 28-year-olds. So they're in the workforce now. We've got most of our apprentices are Generation Z. Generation Alpha, they're the ones who are coming up hot on the heels of Generation Z, and they're going to be in the workforce shortly. So they are born between 2010 and 2024. So some of them haven't even been born yet, but they are the 13-year-olds and under. So in 3 years' time, they're going to be entering the workforce as well. So it's making sure that you're engaging with both these days. And there's a stat that by 2030, 34% of the workforce is going to be Generation Z, and 11% will be Generation Alpha. So that's only 7 years away.
Okay. So I was thinking about this, obviously, ahead of today. And one of the things I was thinking was, we've got a challenge, and this is why we're having this discussion, because there is a big challenge within engineering and manufacturing where we've seen a lot of people retire, and there is a genuine gap. We've spoken about this of I think as a country, we thought we might not be a manufacturing country, we might be more distribution and service led, and we're not. We're still very strong in manufacturing and engineering. So there's certainly a gap of investment, but the gap between the generations of the workforce that are in working now and the generations coming through, is it any different to what it was with the baby boomers compared to the millennials? Is there a bigger gap, or is it the thing that evolves and changes as businesses change and our culture changes? Does it just change and we all have to adapt, or is it, as people seem to think at the minute, it's a bigger problem now?
I think there's always going to be changes, and that's why we've got these kind of labels, and not everyone necessarily fits into the labels, do they? But I
No.
think within our sector, it's more prominent because we have got that aging workforce, and then we're really desperately trying to fill that skills gap by bringing young people through. And I've seen it in my workplace because we tend to get a lot of baby boomers who are teaching the young people, because that's the other issue. We've got a massive shortage of tutors within the sector who can train these young people. So a lot of those are coming to retirement, and they think for the last couple of years they'll come and teach and pass on their skills. And there's a disconnect. And I think, because there is quite a big age gap there, and young people that are coming through, the Gen Zs, they are very different, and their expectations are different, and their ways of working are different. And then you've got the older ones thinking they're coming through entitled because it's not how when they were doing it and when they were doing their apprenticeship. And it's neither's right or wrong. It's just a different way of thinking and a different way that they have evolved. And it's how we can work together to ensure that everyone's getting the best out of that situation.
Okay, so it's, as in with everything, then there is a level of acceptance. And I think this is something that we would see within our engineering and manufacturing clients, is there's a commerciality about these organisations. There is a way of things that need to be done. So if you have got a traditional engineering manufacturing business that needs welding and assembly, and it's not highly automated, the challenge is that's the way it's done. You've got a business that is commercially viable because you've got orders for your product. And there's only so many ways you can make this job of work exciting. So there is an acceptance of this is the way it needs to be.
Yeah.
But then there needs to be an acceptance of, well, how do we make this either a little bit more exciting, and maybe we can talk a little bit about how we do that, but also that informative piece of there is so many options now for the next generation to do in comparison maybe from 10, 15 years ago. Would you say they've got more choice now?
Yeah, they're more aware of the different variety of things that are out there. Yeah. And that's and because of the platforms that they use, which I think we're going to come on to, they're more aware of the breadth of careers. But then if you're not in that sphere and you're not telling them about your options, they're going to be unaware. So yeah.
Okay, so let's talk TikTok.
Right. So that is the number one search engine for Gen Z. That is where they're going to find their information. They're not going to Google, not using Google. TikTok is where they're finding their information from. And unless we as manufacturers and the engineering sector are on there showcasing what we do, showcasing the breadth and the variety of careers and how rewarding they can be financially and in terms of development, it won't be on their radar, because that is where they're going to for their information.
So if I'm sat here as a business owner, never mind somebody who runs an engineering and manufacturing business, but if sat here as a business owner thinking, oh my goodness, how, I don't even know where to start. I mean, I just don't know where to start. So I'm thinking all of these SMEs that are involved in this space that are thinking we need to recruit all of these people who aren't on TikTok, who haven't got the time to be on social media, how could they come together? Maybe could they come together collectively to be able to showcase a skill or a discipline or a job and work more together? And my trail of thought comes from, you see the big organizations really embracing this. There was a big piece from DHL. So they were talking about Generation Z, Generation Alpha. This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing to engage. Well, that's great. They're a huge organization and they know they need to take responsibility to do this, and they can afford to lose some people across along the way. I might be being very broad brush on this, but if you're an SME, you know, the effort that you put into that young person for it not to work out, it's quite a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, and the good thing about TikTok is it's not polished videos. You don't have to hire somebody in to do. It is literally just on your phone, and polished videos don't really work on TikTok. So you
Okay.
could just get somebody within your workforce who's young, you know, and just interview them or just showcase something that's going on within your facility. But the thing that does go against you on TikTok is you've got to be consistent. So if you only post once every 6 months, that doesn't quite work on TikTok because you do need to be consistent. But that's where I think SMEs and manufacturing do need to come together. So we've got National Manufacturing Day on the 28th of September. So an opportunity for everyone to showcase manufacturing careers. And we're going to launch a TikTok channel that day called Makers Meet. And then we can support other SMEs. If they send their content to us, we can share them on this platform, which will be consistent, which will be posting, so that they can just do small things. And it doesn't have to be anyone being interviewed, because not everyone wants to be on camera. It could just be a process, but it just sparks young people's thoughts and raises awareness of your brand, your organization. So by sharing and on this platform that everyone can use within manufacturing, we're hoping to raise awareness and give that opportunity to the SME that could perhaps only do a video once every 6 months, so that they are out there and they are being seen.
Good. Okay. Well, it feels like I really fed that into you and I didn't know that's what you were doing. So that's like absolutely ideal. Tell me, what are Generation Z and Alpha looking for? What are their motivations then? What as employers do we need to be considering? And I'm not going to say doing, I'm going to say considering, because again, it is this balance of commercially what your business can do and what you can offer.
Both of them are looking for diversity, and they want to that's what they look for in an organization. I think that's where we really struggle within manufacturing and engineering, because we're still perceived to be this white male sector.
So just to clarify, when you say diversity, do you mean diversity of culture or diversity in the job that they do?
Oh, diversity of the workforce they're going to go and work for. The organisation, they're both very passionate about seeing diversity within the organisations that they're going to work for. They don't, so, you know, and we're trying to attract more females, we're trying to attract more from GEM, from global ethnic majorities, and that's what this sector desperately needs. But in order to do that, we need more diversity, so it's quite difficult, really. So we need to be attracting more young people into the sector who are diverse, which will then attract, you know, we need to diversify as a sector in order, which will benefit in many ways, because a diverse workforce has loads of benefits as a business as well. But we all need to work together to showcase and attract that diverse workforce to our sector.
Okay. So I agree with that. I do agree with that the diverse workforce. I think so. Let's have a candid conversation about a diverse workforce, because there is some challenges at the moment regarding choosing my words, as you can tell, against positive discrimination on this side of things. And I think we're also starting to miss out on, well, white male could become diverse.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that as bluntly as I can, and as honest as I can. And I think there's been some comments about, even when we're looking at diverse workforce, you're not getting people wanting to come forward who may be young and male to promote their role. Would I be right in saying that?
We did national apprenticeship week, not last year, the year before, and I'm just very conscious within my role that representation is key. So I will showcase, so that my thoughts processes within engaging more young people is I want everyone to be able to look and see somebody who looks like them, so that they can think that could be me, because you can't be what you can't see. So as long as somebody is similar to them, they can think, actually, that's possible to me, particularly because we work with primary as well. And that's really key to break down those barriers. But we profiled 25 of our apprentices for National Apprenticeship Week, and not one white male was picked up by the media. So that's an issue in itself as well, because we're profiling, and so we need to change the face of it not being just white male. We need it to be diverse, but then we don't want to go against that young white male who also wants to apply as well. So it's a really fine balance. And I think the problem is we have got this huge perception that it is a male dominated white industry, and we are working against that and trying to transform it and make it more diverse, but not to the detriment of the young white male that's going through as well. And that can cause so many issues, because we've had employers come to us say they want a female apprentice. And I'm like, well, you can't say you want a female apprentice. You need to look at the candidates that are coming through. Yes, fantastic if one of those is female, but also is your workplace ready for that young female? Because if it is an all male environment, are you going to be able to support that young female through her apprenticeship journey? And so there's lots of considerations that it makes it really difficult for SMEs in particular. It's very difficult for the big, so there is a lot that needs to be done, but I just think we all need to be ensuring representation and making that opportunity available to all.
Yeah, I think it's about being aware of these things, isn't it? And actually what we're talking about is true equality.
Yeah.
What we're saying is we're going to showcase, like, I loved what you've just said there. You want every young person to be able to look at the engineering and manufacturing sector and see somebody who looks like them, who they can identify with.
Yeah.
And maybe this is where the collaboration piece comes in, of this being able to showcase these people in these sectors by working together. So let's explore education. We've got a lot of people that have signed up for this, and we've got a real diverse audience of people that are watching live, but also will be watching on catch up. So if you're watching on catch up and there's things that you think you're interested in, or you'd like to pose a question or anything to myself or Fiona, please directly message us. But there's people that are from career coaching, education, higher education, and engineering and manufacturing. We're talking about future talent. So, and let's think about this from an SME point of view. You're an SME in a in a village or a small town, and you're thinking about, well, you know what? Yeah, probably it'd be good for us to have an apprentice every year, because we can probably just take one. That would be good, or one every 2 years. We talk about consistency. Talk to me from your experience of when you've seen things work really, really well. How do SMEs engage with schools and build that relationship? What do they do well? What works?
The pushback you often get from SMEs, which I totally understand, is time. They haven't got time to spend engaging with numerous schools, going to events. And then often when you're just a little SME at an event, you can get forgotten because everyone's going around the larger organisations. What I think is key, if you don't want volume, you just want one or two apprentices every year, engage with one local secondary and one local primary. And that could only be one day a year that you have to spend with each, doing one different activity. But you can't just turn up in year 11 at a year 11 careers fair and expect the young people to come over to you and be really interested in your opportunity. it's got to be, young people form their career ideas by the age of 10. So unless you're engaging at primary and opening their eyes up to what manufacturing and engineering is, because it's not spoken about that much in schools, it's not one of the things that's really focused on. Unfortunately, the D&T curriculum is declining in schools. So that was a great opportunity for young people to raise awareness about these careers. But there's a real shortage of D&T provision in schools. So we need to all work together. So if you're in SME and you just do one primary, your local primary and your local secondary, you will see the benefits of that. And the primary is a long game, unfortunately, you're talking 10 years down the line, but you will have an impact. And it's about informed decisions so that young people think that it isn't for everyone, manufacturing and engineering, but at least they know what they're switching off from. Mm-hmm. So it's just giving young people the opportunity to understand the variety of careers that are out there. And even just doing that, you will see the benefit, but you can't just turn up in year 11 and expect interest.
No, not at all. I need to read a very long email, a long message from Adam, but it's talking about countries and it's something I wanted to pick up on. So you're going to see me dart and read this, but I've got one thing just to say, and maybe we can carry on this conversation as well while I'm reading, is the way I see it. This is about succession planning. You're saying primary, it's a long-term thing.
Yeah.
If you're an MD, if you're a GM, if you're ops director, a president, VP, whatever role you have got a strategic long-term vision for your plant. That isn't a 1-year plan. That is, unless I'm wrong, and please tell me if I'm wrong, you have got a strategic plan which is going to go on after you've left. Because if you're a great leader, you're considering succession planning and you're considering either making yourself redundant, moving on yourself, whatever your plan looks like. So to build into your strategic plan that your business will spend 8 hours a year, that's one day, and it's not even 8 hours, is it? To go in to a school and either showcase something, or even the best things I've seen, Fiona, is when businesses go in, they talk about their business and then they give them a challenge.
Yeah.
And they don't need to then manage that challenge. And this is where I think another group works really, really well with schools. So the Careers and Enterprise Company are working with schools as an employment advisor. You can be connected to your local school and you can work with the careers provision to ensure that careers are connected to the curriculum. And it is sad that the design and technology is phasing off. But even if we start with maths, engineering and maths are so closely connected, as we know, and the sciences, there could be something around there, some innovation to just spark some interest. So it could be go in for 2 hours, do an assembly, set them a challenge, go back and review it, go back again, and they might have built something or created something. My mind's gone blank of what they could have done. But would you agree?
Yeah, schools are crying out for those kind of examples. We've had schools contacting us and how they can make maths a reality, because young people are learning maths and they don't see the point of it and they don't think it's ever going to be relatable. But if you can go and show how Pythagoras actually has an impact and can be used and is used in your factory and does have an impact on what you're doing, it just brings it to life, but then sparks young people's thought processes about what they can do with that. And challenges are fantastic because they remember those things. It brings it to life. When you do, you really understand and you really get what manufacturing and engineering is all around.
I think both of us would agree that this isn't easy in the beginning to start going. And it's the same with anything, within a school setting, the careers leader may move on, they may do a different job. You'll feel some little bumps in the road, but that's only the same as a business. You're trying to gain new customers. There's bumps in the road with everything. This isn't plain sailing. It really isn't. But as I say, I just come back to, as an organisation, if you're planning on staying in that local area as your long-term vision, your community is the bit for you to engage with. And also, you're not actually just reaching out to the students, and you touched on this at the beginning, we've got a skill shortage. So this could be your way of working with the community, and you've got all the parents and all their people that they know, and it's word of mouth constantly, isn't it?
Yeah, and the biggest influences to young people are careers advisors, teachers, and parents. So
Yeah.
raising awareness with them. But also, we've seen through apprenticeships most recently is we're getting a lot of career changes because people
Okay.
are realizing that manufacturing and engineering, you know, there's fantastic salaries when you're qualified and there's lots of opportunities. And in order for them to change career and retrain, an apprenticeship is a great route because they're still earning. Because you can't just
Mm.
at 30 odd years of age think, I'm not going to earn for a couple of years and go to university and study engineering. An apprenticeship is a brilliant route because you are earning during that time. You can still look after your families and then you can do career. So we're getting a lot more career changes coming through with our apprenticeships because they're seeing that the opportunities that are available within engineering and manufacturing.
We've certainly witnessed that with one of our customers who were recruiting into CNC, and actually they struggled with the apprenticeships because they've not got the work experience and the whole thing of working in a factory and working shifts, and it's obviously very alien to
Yeah.
apprentices. And what they've done is they've now taken more mature, I'm going to say mature, they're in their 20s, but they've been out there and they've got an
Yeah.
experience of the world of work. They never probably thought of doing CNC work before, but they understand what it's like to go to work on time,
Yeah.
clock in, clock off, maybe work shifts. They know what salary they want to achieve because they know what lifestyle they want, and they now want it's all become a little bit more real, and they're now doing the apprenticeships that way. I just want to pick two things up with what Adam's pointed out. So Adam said that analysis of responses from people from 42 countries on a vocational interest confirmed that men tend to prefer working with things more than women. And again, I'm saying this not from a fact of we shouldn't be promoting it. It's a case of if the interest and insight is in that higher percentage and it is still that way, we need to embrace those young people who want to come in, and we need to promote them. And interestingly, I'm not sure if this individual is on live, but if they are and they want to pop their thoughts on, somebody who supported me when I did my when I was at Warwick University, we spoke a lot about the German economy and the successes of the German businesses and how they are in their strategic thinking. And I'd be really interested to know, and again, yeah, please send any messages to myself and Fiona afterwards of, globally, is this something that everybody is feeling? There is this gap between Generation Z and Generation Alpha with current engineering and manufacturing, or does anybody know any countries that are doing it really, really well, and why? I'd love to know that. Adam's second point, strategic planning, should be incorporate talent management 100%. Scientists can't read and talk, Adam. That's my problem. So I'm really trying to multitask and it's really not working. But I think I just agree with everything you're saying, and you're saying we need to promote and market around this. But I think that's the point. It's the promoting and the marketing. So I'm keen. This has flown, Fiona. You and I have been talking, rambling, waffling, whatever people want to insert as the right word there. But key things that you think employers need to be aware of, and if they were going to do one thing to, as people use that lovely phrase of move the needle, that marginal gain, what do you think? What would you advise? What would you say?
Be visible. You need
Okay.
to showcase what you're offering. When young people, so BBC Bite Size did a questionnaire with teenagers early this year, and the number one career that young people had actually chosen was engineering. So there's a whole variety of different forms of engineering. It's not necessarily manufacturing engineering, but for that to be on their radar, I do think we are making progress. And it was number 1 overall, and even with the girls, it was number 7. So girls are considering it now, and you know, we are doing a lot of work with numerous different organisations to raise awareness of these careers. But you, as your organisation, need to be visible. So you've got National Manufacturing Day as a way to be visible. You've got TikTok, Makers Meet, or just your own TikTok. Get one of the young people within your organisation to showcase stuff on their TikTok. That's another way of doing it. And just go out to schools, even if you just go to one primary and one secondary, but be visible, because that's the only way we're going to dispel the myths about manufacturing and engineering. You know, young people, when they understand it, they're fascinated by it. And a lot of them do want to come into it as a career, and they realise that the opportunities that are available to them. But it's raising that awareness so that they can make those informed decisions, and relatable role models. So if your demographic in your area is predominantly white males, and you've got some white males, it's the young, they need to see somebody that's not 50 or 60. They need to see somebody that's more relatable to them, to think, God, that was me. That will be me in 5 years' time. That's what they need. So whatever it is, whichever, you know, diversity it is, but it's relatable role models are really important for young people, so they can see that they can be that person in the future.
That's brilliant. Fiona, thank you so much for your time. Yeah, thanks for everybody who's managed to pop everything in the chat. I'm sure the conversation will continue, because we do have a massive skills gap and a massive labour shortage gap, which is going to continue. But I think for me, that visibility, so that you can inform, collaborate, and just engage with your schools. And if you're struggling on the engagement, the Careers and Enterprise Company can certainly support on that. And if anybody needs any more information on that, then please reach out to me. Or, as I say, Fiona.
Yeah.
Fiona, thank you so much. I'll let you enjoy the rest of your day and the humidity we have here in the UK at the moment. And thanks for everybody for your input and engagement. Thanks ever so much.
Thank you.